Hi, I'm Ian Messenger with my co-host Lauren Blackford.
Actually, it's Lauren Shank now, but hi.
Oh, yes, it is. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Small Business Small Talk powered by Hibu. At Hibu, our goal is to help local businesses across America succeed and grow with digital marketing. Today, we're talking with Paul Altobelli, Hibu's website product lead. 3 years ago, when we launched Small Business Small Talk, Paul was actually our very first guest. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'll remind everybody again, as I almost choke on my coffee, what you do at Hibu as the website product lead.
Well, I'm pretty much responsible to maintain the integrity of what we've defined as the website. Website has certain rules in terms of how we go about building it, and I define those rules, and then I work with the different teams. Our process teams, our training teams, our production teams, our QA teams, sales teams, GTM, go-to-market teams, to make sure that they're all aligned. This is what we're building. This is how we build it. Additionally, I'll stay up with the latest trends. I look at existing sites. I figure out ways that we can improve our websites all the time. Websites, as you've heard me both say many times, are never completed. They're abandoned. As far as the Hibu website goes, that applies. I'm just not building one product and then sticking with it and setting it and forgetting it. We're constantly evolving our product to make sure that we're meeting the demands of the marketplace.
Sure. So it's not the same, the same flavor it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. It's something better. It's something current.
It's always changing. There's always something new with what we're trying to achieve here. Before we get started, though, I just want to say Mazel Tov to Lauren, and it's fun. I've worked with Lauren and with Ian at various different times in the 15 years that I've been with the company.
So, Paul, when you're looking at a local business website and when you're looking at the Hibu websites and the product that you create, what makes a good website?
Before I answer that, let's just state that the rules by which I sort of think about that has to do with the fact that I want the website out of the gate to make sure and to convince somebody to stay on the website longer than 7 seconds. We don't have a lot of time. Website doesn't have a lot of time to convince somebody to stay. If I don't see what I want to see immediately on my phone, which I'll be referencing here a bunch today, I'm off somewhere else. So as far as what I think makes a good website, out of the gate, we're looking for things that establish credibility. Right out of the gate, you got to see that. And that includes things like, I call them trust signals. So some sort of badges or something that addresses affiliations and licenses and things of that sort. Awards, that's a good one. That's establishing that I've arrived in a good place. I'm looking for testimonials and reviews. If I'm looking at two websites, identical in every way, except this one has 500 reviews and it's saying we have over 500 reviews. Check out our reviews. Here's our stars. And this one has none. I'm going with this guy every time. My wife looks at reviews for everything, no matter what it is. She's like, well, I'm not going to make that cake unless I see reviews. That's important. The website has to be professionally designed. I know there's a lot of websites out there that will convert no matter what it looks like. But as far as capturing my attention and maintaining my attention longer than 7 seconds, I want to see something that looks like a professional company. And two things that I look for, because it's the first two things you probably are looking at yourself, is the logo and photography. A lot of times with websites, everything matches, everything looks great except for that logo. It's all blurry. Or it's just a text-based logo. I'm going to be spending a lot of money with you. And I want to make sure that you've checked off everything on your end. If you don't have enough time to make sure your logo isn't blurry, well, then how do I know you're going to make sure that you're installing my air conditioner correctly? That's important. And then photos, especially if the business is something like a landscaper, something along those lines. Boy, if they don't have good photography on there, real photography, you can get away with stock photography based on in certain scenarios, but if you can have real photos, we're talking about that trust thing, right? And testimonials and reviews. If you could put before and after photos, that is fantastic trust. And I'm looking at that and I'm going to immediately get sucked in. Additionally, I'm looking for things like ways that the business is differentiating itself from competitors. So at Hibu, we call those motivating factors. Some people will refer to them as unique selling points. We want to see right out of the gate, why should I hire you? And for our example here, I'm going to go with this idea that it is some sort of a home services provider, like a plumber or an electrician or a landscaper. So right out of the gate, I want to see things that are going to tell me, how much is it going to cost me to hire you to fix my AC? So things like, I don't know, do they have coupons? Do they have specials? Do they have financing options? That has to be addressed. How much is it going to cost me? I want to look at to see if how fast you can help me fix my problem. Is it 24/7 emergency services? Do they have a fully stocked truck? Things of that nature. How quickly will they call you back? We promise you we're going to call you back within 1 hour. That's really key. That's going to make that phone ring, because a lot of us, all of us here, have dealt with contractors that don't call you back right away. Nothing more frustrating than getting someone to call you back. Just FYI, we might have a guest joining us, my cat.
What do you mean?
Don't know. That's Tony, just in case Tony wants to get on. Other things I'm looking for is on-page SEO. It isn't something that isn't necessarily in your face. There's the code that goes on behind the site, and that's helping the search engines find the site. That's what I look for. Have they included the right title tags and meta description? Are the headlines, do they include keyword terms? Does it make sense? Does it just say, welcome to our website? Or does it say Cherry Hill, that's where I live, Cherry Hill Plumbing Services, 24/7. How about this? 24/7 plumbing services in Cherry Hill. It's a perfect headline. It's good for both the user, for me, and for the search engines. I want to know if it's a fast loading site. If it's a real slow site on my phone, that's a bad thing. If it's fast loading, that's a good sign. And then finally, I want to make sure that the calls to action on the website align with how to get in touch with them. So if the website's constantly saying things like, call us today, call us today, call us today, and I can't find the phone number, it's not
good luck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't want to see things that a lot of times I'll see with websites, they'll have multiple phone numbers in the header. Which one should I call? If it's clear, if it's clean, if I know, if it's telling me exactly what to do, that's a good website. So all those factors come into play, ultimately making me stay on that website longer than 7 seconds.
It's interesting to me because everything you just said, and I mean this in a good way, is geared toward thinking of the website and for us building websites with an eye toward being transactional. You know, you're not saying it's got to look great and it's got to impress your colleagues and your competitors and it should look like, you know, whatever, Amazon.com or something. It's all about, here are the things I need as a consumer to arrive on your website with the intention of hiring you and doing business with you. Lauren, it goes back to the heart of the question, right? What makes a good small business website? Well, assuming you're using the website to drive business and not just have a website for fun, this is what it should have to power it, to drive calls, to drive leads, to get a response.
I think that's a great point, Ian, because business owners are always told you have to have a website, you have to have a website, but they don't always know what to do with that website. And I think this is great information it's to drive, you know, closing the sale, bring people into the shop.
People go to web pages, people go to the internet to solve a task. They're visiting a website, they're doing whatever that query might be. I am coming to a destination on the internet to solve a task. It could be as simple as I want to look at cat videos. As a Tony, I want to pay a bill, I want to listen to music, I want to find a plumber, I want to find an electrician, I want to find somebody to fix my air conditioner because it's 90 degrees. I want to solve a task. The easier that web page, that website, that company makes it to solve all the things I need in my head to say, yeah, you're the guy, you're solving my task, then I'm going to call them up. It's all about conversions. You want to look good or you want to make money? I mean, the idea here, nobody's ever going to say, I just want to look good. I mean, it's very rare. They always want a combination of the two. But if you have a professional site with good pictures, a good logo, and it's laid out in a way that makes sense for the user, well, then it's going to look good. It's going to look good. A lot of times we have clients, or I've seen websites where they're trying to look good and not necessarily try to get the phone to ring. And then they wonder, why aren't I getting any calls? Well, I don't know, because you didn't put the phone number up in the right-hand corner.
Right. Yeah. And it's not really a chicken or the egg scenario, right? It's you're never going to have a client who says, well, I'm getting a lot of calls, but I just don't think it looks great. That doesn't happen. You're absolutely going to have clients that say, I like the way it looks, but yeah, it's just you've got to have it built to convert.
Yep.
So you've outlined a whole lot of factors to drive somebody to close the deal. So of those, and maybe even more, what does bring in the most calls from a website? How can we pinpoint how to get those calls made?
3 C's. And I'm stealing this from a commercial I just saw. They're talking about the 3 P's. I'm talking about the 3 C's: content, content, and content.
Ah.
A lot of times we see with websites, they'll have the traditional sort of left to right navigation: home, services, about, contact me. And on that services page, they'll list all the things they do. They do AC repair, they do heating repair, they do plumbing, they do indoor airflow, and they just every one of their services is listed as a bullet point. That's not enough content. That's not enough content. If I am trying to solve a task, if I have a AC that's on the fritz and it's 90 degrees, I am most likely typing into Google AC repair and then wherever town I'm in. That's what I'm typing into. And if the website has pages that are aligned with the different things that their clients are looking for, meaning there's a page for every query in a realistic way, well, then that website has a great chance of converting. That's what it needs to do. It's all about content. And the more pages of content that's added that are specific to somebody's needs, the greater chance of conversion. Ian, years ago, you referred to it, and please talk about it, the lottery ticket analogy.
Yeah, I forget what it was exactly, but basically, if you only buy, 4 tickets, what are your odds versus if you buy 12, well, 3 times more likely to win. Probably still not doing great. I've never won the lottery. I think I've maybe made $5 off a scratch off, but right, especially if it sounds like we've been using HVAC as a sort of an example industry here, it can be very easy, I think, for a small business owner to say, well, I do HVAC, I do heating, I do air conditioning, I do, all sorts of ventilation duct work. That's right. That's what's on my, what I do page, on my services page. But,
right.
Chances are I'm not looking, depending on the time of year, I'm not looking for both heating and air conditioning. It's, listen, we're all in the Philadelphia area. It was summer last week. It was summer 2 days ago. It was 90 here, which is insane for April. And I turned my air conditioner on for the first time this year, and you kind of keep your fingers crossed. Like, is it going to kick over? If it didn't, I would be searching for, as you point out, Paul, air conditioner repair. Yep. And if I get to someone's site and they've just got a laundry list of, well, we do air conditioning, heating, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'll probably keep looking for someone that has a page or has something specific to exactly what I'm looking for.
And let's be clear, you're not going to find that website that just has a list of bullet points on a service page.
Yep.
Just as important as it is for the user to have these pages that are unique to what they're searching for and the task they want to solve, it also helps with the SEO.
Mm-hmm.
Google is looking for those pages. Google's only going to serve up the pages that best match the query being asked.
Right.
So if I type in roof repair and the website is optimized for a general contractor, roof repair is never going to get found. I'm never going to find that business.
Sure.
Unless there is a page dedicated to roof repair.
Right.
Then there might be a page dedicated to emergency roof repair or storm roof repair or roof replacement. So there's now, I just listed 5 pages for what used to be a bullet point.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bullet point. So bullet points are great off for a side of a truck. I do all these things. Visit my website for more info. You visit the website for more info, then you get the detail you're looking for. Does anybody really read all that content? Probably not, but it's for somebody that needs that extra bit of content, it's always good to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting point because, like you said before, they're going to this website to complete a task, but it's also to answer a question, like you said, do you do this specific thing? And I think sometimes a business owner or anyone in an industry just assumes people know, oh, I do air conditioning. That means this, repair, replacement, all of this. But that doesn't always translate to the common person who's not in that industry. And so do you do this specific thing is a very important question that needs to be answered for the consumer that the business owner needs to include.
And the way you just framed that too is something else that if you made this change to your website, it will have an impact for two ways, and that's FAQs, frequently asked questions. Because even if you're saying, yes, I will fix your roof, there might be questions specific to that.
Yes.
And if you add them, that's going to help seal the deal, so to speak. So FAQs are a great way of things that are is a great option of something you can add to a web page that will help with the conversion.
And that could be, with the roofing example, that could be something as simple as, what's the best time of year to replace my roof, or, just anything that someone might search for. And it's almost like, as a business owner, Lauren, to your point, you kind of have to think of, and this can be very challenging, imagine you don't know anything about your industry, but you have the problem that your company can solve. What are those questions that would come up? Is there a different time of year for replacing an asphalt roof versus a metal roof? Maybe there is. I don't know. But that's all great content that you can include that someone may search for, and it may get you a visit.
May get you a visit, and then may get you somebody picking up the phone.
Yeah.
I tell this story. I may have even said it last time I was on this podcast, but when my wife and I were looking for a new roof, it was pretty much down to a couple different roofers, and I was flipping from site to site and comparing notes and mentally. And one of them said something specific to that when they clean up, that they have this big sort of metallic drum that they roll on the ground, and it picks up all the nails. And at the time we had little children, and that was important to my wife. If they hadn't brought up something like that, I wouldn't have called them and hired them. Now, they may all have that. They may all have that sort of, that's normal. Just like you said, well, everybody does that. How do you not know that? But this guy called it out. And as a result, we hired them. Yeah.
And that goes back to what you're talking about with on the website, highlighting those USPs. It doesn't have to be, 10% off or, free this. It doesn't have to be anything monetary. It can just be, right, we clean up after ourselves. Or, the other example you shared, we will return calls in an hour. Maybe that's standard. Maybe everybody does that in your industry. Maybe in your neck of the woods, everybody does that, but it doesn't mean they all point it out. And that can be a big deciding factor in whether someone picks up the phone or goes back to the search results.
Or they wear booties on their feet when they walk their house, so they don't track in dirt, or that the technicians are all their background checked and drug screened. I'm letting somebody into my home. This is stating, it's a simple thing, maybe a very standard practice, but the fact that they're saying that out loud, that could help seal the deal for me, and I'm going to call back.
Sure.
So it's over communicating every simple feature that they have, which answers the user's questions before they even know they have that question.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's no problem with putting more than you need. There's overkill. In terms of the amount of content, we're talking about content. You want to make sure that it's the necessary content specific to that topic. You don't necessarily need to go on and start talking about family history and things of that sort. There's other places that can go.
Right.
Learn about our history and learn about this, or see our project gallery and things like that. You can link to other places, but don't be afraid to add more than you need.
Well, and I'll just kind of springboard off of that and put on my Hibu hat for a second here. Everything we've talked about up to this point is part of our consultation process. This isn't stuff that you have to know as a small business owner to do yourself. This isn't stuff that Paul at in your position you've defined, but it may not be what you get when you actually engage with us. This is all part of what we walk a small business owner through. And if we say, well, what sets you apart, and they say nothing, I'm like everybody else, we don't just go okay like everybody else and move on. We really engage with you and try to kind of impart this lesson during that consultation that, well, that's that may not be enough to convince someone. Let's talk through this and figure out what we can highlight on the website to make sure it's something where you're really getting the best bang for your buck.
The content itself also has to align with ways that traffic's finding you, and by traffic meaning the potential customer. They might be finding you because of an ad they saw in the flyer or the mailer that they got. They might be finding you because of a pay-per-click ad, Hibu search. They might be finding you because of something in social, that there's an ad in Facebook and they click that, and that all has to align as well. And I think that's one of the great things I love about our company is this solution sync, where it all connects. 3 years ago, when we first had this conversation, there hasn't been a lot that's changed in 3 years. 10 years ago, it's a huge change from 10 years ago to now. And that 10 years ago, you could just have a website. You just didn't need anything else.
Mhm.
Now, a website all by its lonesome isn't enough. Even if you check off all the things that I just said, what makes a good website? You have to assume that people aren't just going to go to Google and type something in. They're going to go to, they're going to, sorry, the cat's leaving. So bye, Tony. They're going to go on Facebook and they're going to see something there. They're going to ask a friend. They're going to get something in the mail. They're going to just not even type or visit my webpage through Google organic search. They're going to click the Google My Business. There's all sorts of ways that people can visit and find your website. So you have to speak to all of them. Do that again through those bits that we talked about in the beginning, specifically with the motivating factors and that clean design that we talked about. That's important. It's got to load fast too. I mentioned that. As far as facts go, I did some research before we started. We're looking at about 60% people are looking and converting on phones over desktop. There's a lot of times we add things to websites that because it looks good on desktop, you can't assume anyone's ever going to see those things. It has to look here too.
Yeah.
This isn't key to make it work.
Right. Well, and that's even assuming they're, searching on their phone. They may just be picking up their phone and saying, hey, Google or hey, Siri. And, at that point, they're not even seeing your website. But, Google is crawling that site looking for the answer to, what I forget if I mentioned this before, but last 4th of July weekend, our air conditioner didn't turn on. So it's this mad dash to we need air conditioner repair, not an HVAC person, specifically air conditioner repair that works holiday weekends.
Yeah.
That might be something I say, hey, what air conditioning repair people are open 4th of July weekend? And Google's going to look. And if it can find that information on your website, it's going to serve that up as, hey, check these guys out. I may never see the website. I might just call right from there. I might see some other kind of listing and check it out. So, yeah.
Something as simple as we never close. Call us anytime, day or night, even at 3 a.m. Something that simple could be the differentiator between going with HVAC guy A or B.
You're listening to Small Business Small Talk, powered by Hibu. Hibu is the country's leading provider of synchronized digital marketing for small businesses, delivering more visibility, more visitors, more leads, and more customers. Visit us today at hibu.com, Hibu, hibu.com.
And we're back talking about local business websites with Paul Altabelli, Hibu's website product lead.
You had mentioned a week or two ago that you were looking at a bunch of HVAC websites for small businesses. What, across the country, or?
I wanted to look to figure out what is the secret sauce. What do HVAC companies do that we're not doing at Hibu? Because as I was saying earlier, websites are constantly evolving. As part of my role, I got to see what are the trends, what are other people doing that we could be incorporating into not only our website, but the consultation. It could be questions that we're asking. So my criteria was I typed in the words AC and then a geographic area. So AC repair Houston, AC repair Baltimore, AC repair Portland, AC repair St. Louis, et cetera, et cetera. And then whatever showed up naturally, that's what I looked at. The general theme that I found amongst the 100 sites that I looked at goes back to some of those points that I brought up in the beginning. They all had a presentation that told me, congratulations, you've arrived. We can fix your air conditioner. I visited, I was directed to a page that was specific to AC repair. I didn't land on any other page that had anything to do with heating or services in general. The pages that showed up in Google were specific to AC repair. So that goes back to content. Make sure you have a page dedicated to that. The pages themselves, this is cool. I'm looking at my notes too. The pages themselves weren't just air conditioning services that include blah, 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 blah. They took air conditioning services and they broke it into 5 pages. Most of them did this, not all of them, but most of them. There was a general sort of air conditioning page. We do air conditioning repair and maintenance and replacement, and we have a 24/7 emergency service. And then they would link to individual pages that were unique to those 4 topics: repair, maintenance, replacement or installation, and then 24/7. And then they repeated the same sort of process or formula for heaters. They had 5 pages dedicated to heaters. And that's something else that's cool too, is you got to make sure that, and here's a little tip, as you build your website, you're using the words that people type. Use the words that people type. So in some parts of the country, it was furnace, not heater. So it was 24/7 furnace repair and furnace maintenance and furnace replacement and furnace, etc. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know. So if I'm going to build the perfect HVAC site, I'm going to have those 5 pages, those 10 pages out of the gate. And then when it got into plumbing, for those companies that have plumbing, well, there's a lot of different plumbing, and I'm just going to rattle off some of them. There were pages dedicated to appliance and fixtures and drain cleaning and faucets and garbage disposals and leak detection and reverse osmosis, whatever that is. But they had a page dedicated to it. In some pages, it's, if there was 5 pages for air conditioning, there were 20 pages for plumbing. And then when you got into indoor air control or air quality, you might have 10 different pages there. So they all had a lot of content. They all had dedicated pages for all the services that they provide. 68% of the websites I looked at, it's how we were getting into that, offered a finance option. So sometimes they go, oh yeah, well, we do that. Yeah, I got a guy, or we got something. And they may only mention it as a bullet point, but if they had a dedicated page for that, think about it. If I know that my AC is on the fritz, and I got to get, that's $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 out of the gate. If they have a finance option, I might hire them versus somebody that doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Additionally, many of the sites, as we talked about earlier, had FAQs too. A lot of them, because I have different questions for different things that they offer and different things that they do. So that was something out of the gate that I was like, okay, well, as far as Hibu goes, as far as how we're going about building our websites, or for whatever that future sort of website may be, as our website evolves, I'm going to make sure that we're incorporating FAQ questions on all those specific pages. They were some of the big takeaways from looking at all those sites.
It just sounds like, the key to a successful website is answering all the, customers' questions before they even pick up the phone.
Yeah. And you might even be sort of qualifying them out.
Sure.
I was looking for some windows recently, and I found this company, and they kind of checked off all the boxes. And then I realized they're probably overkill for what I'm looking for. And that was okay, because they wouldn't want me to call if they knew that ultimately I was going to go, no, you're too big for what I need. I need something smaller.
And that's probably a caveat to, I don't know how many times I've talked about, phone calls and leads. It should be qualified phone calls and leads. You don't want whoever the person is that, takes those incoming calls, whether it's someone in a back office, whether it's, a lot of times with the clients that Hibu has, it's the owner, it's the guy on the roof and his cell phone's ringing. You don't want to spend 10 minutes on a call, let alone half an hour, and then realize this isn't the right fit. And you could have cleared that up by making it clear on their website that, you don't offer that service, or you don't do financing, or, whatever the case may be.
You could do that too as well. You don't have to necessarily state it, but as far as how the website is optimized, you don't want to just generally say, I cover all of New Jersey, when in reality, I'm only covering South Jersey. And then within South Jersey, it might only be 2 counties.
Yeah.
And within those 2 counties, it really is these 6 cities. So then with Hibu, we have a product called local ranking, where we could focus on those very specific geographic areas. And then that's what's showing up in the SERP, in the search engine result page in Google. Additionally, when you get in, a lot of people that do pay-per-click advertising on their own, they don't think to get that granular with the geographic and where they're focusing, where does that ad show up. Hibu offers that. I know I'm sounding like a commercial for Hibu, but that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And that's why if you came to somebody that knows what they're doing, if you came to a company that gets it, then you're going to get the better quality lead. You're going to get the leads because the website is optimized with that campaign. And more importantly, it's going to be a qualified lead, because it's in the area and it's for the service that I'm looking for, and that's what I'm calling about.
Yeah, I think there can sometimes be a tendency to want to hit the broadside of the barn, thinking that that's going to bring in the most amount of leads. But, what we've learned is being hyper specific to what you do, where you serve, and what you offer is actually going to bring in the most successful leads.
This has been really good. I think we covered a lot of ground that we didn't 3 years ago. So, despite I think all of us saying like not much has changed, like it's maybe not changed, but kind of refined. And what's next 3 years from now is not what was next 3 years ago. So I think we've covered a lot here.
We're always learning, and that learning with what Hibu does plays into the evolution of our products. Just yet another reason why somebody might want to call up Hibu and say, "Hey, take care of me. I want to know what your solution is."
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Paul, thank you again for joining us and sharing some of what's going on now and what you're seeing and what's coming up next, and sharing the good word, as it were, with the local businesses who are listening to this. And to all of you that are listening, be sure to visit hibu.com to see how Hibu can build you an effective digital marketing solution that generates leads and customers and delivers the kind of results you want. If you liked what you heard on this episode, be sure to subscribe. And please, if you can, leave us a review. Let us know what you'd like to hear next, what makes sense, what you want us to elaborate on. It really does help. Until next time, this is Small Business Small Talk out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Small Business Small Talk, powered by Hibu. Hibu is a leading provider of synchronized digital marketing for small businesses across America. With Hibu, you get all the digital marketing your business needs, all from a single provider, all working together to maximize results. Visit us today at hibu.com, Hibu, hibu.com.